I will wait for 1 or 2 more minutes and then I will start. Okay, I'm starting now. Okay, so shall I zoom this? Hello, am I
Yes,
audible?
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So yesterday I told a brief portion about this linear dependence and independence and basis, right? So what is linear dependence and what is linear independence? So let's go to an example. Suppose uh, suppose I give you three vectors. One is 1 comma 0 comma 0, another is 0 comma 1 comma 0, and the other is 0 comma 0 comma 1. What does it span? What does the these three vectors span?
R3.
R3. Okay.
R3.
Now now look, if I give you another set of three vectors, 1 0 0, 0 1 0, and the other, I add these two vectors, 1 comma 1 comma 0. What will it give?
R2.
XY.
R2. So basically it will just give me the XY plane. The thing is here, what is the difference here? Look, these three vectors, these if I add these two vector, these vector will not be in that space spanned by these two vectors. If you choose any pair of two vectors from here, you will see that the third vector will not belongs to the span of these two vectors, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but here you can see that these vector belongs to the span of these two vectors, right?
Right, sir.
So that's why these three vectors can span the whole of R3, but these three vector cannot. So in a formal way, we can say that these three vectors are linearly independent and these three vectors are not. Basically, uh, basically what is the definition of linear dependence and independence? So here, suppose V is a vector space. Here, can you see it, you guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, suppose V is a vector space and S is a subset of that vector space, not a sub. It does S should doesn't have to be a subspace. It is a subset of this vector space V. Okay. We say that.
Sir, could you please zoom a bit?
What? Can you repeat again?
Sir, could you please zoom a bit again?
Oh, okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now look, V is a vector space and a subset S is given of that vector space, right? I say that S is linearly dependent. The subset S is linearly dependent if from that subset if you give me some vectors, say x1 to xn, and then there exists some scalar a1 to n such that not all 0, this is important, not all 0, such that this can be written a1 x1 plus a2 x2 plus an xn equals to 0. So what does it mean? What does this not all 0 mean? Basically, look, dependence. What does it mean? Dependence. That means one vector depends on other vectors, right? So, is it clear till now?
Can you repeat again?
I'm just okay. Suppose there is a vector space V and there is a subset S of that vector space. You say that the subset S of that vector space V is linearly dependent if there are some vectors in S, the set S, such that for some scalar a1 to n, you can write like this, and which will be 0. And what is the condition of the scalar? The scalar, not all scalars should be 0. There should be at least one scalar which is non-zero. And still, if you can write like this and get 0, then you say that S is dependent. I'm coming to this. Just let me give the example here. Look here. I said that these three vectors are linearly dependent. These three vectors are linearly dependent. I said that, right? So, how say these vectors say v1, these vectors say v2, and these vectors say v3. I say that the set containing these three vectors v1, v2, v3, and there can be other elements here also. I say that this S is dependent. Why? Because in this S I can get three vector v1, v2, and v3 such that, look here, I can write 1 into v1 plus 1 into v2 minus 2 in minus 1 into v3 equals to 0, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So look here. With these three vectors v1, v2, and v3, and some scalars 1, here also 1, and here also 1, the scalars are not 0. There should be at least one scalar which is not 0. Here all the three scalars are non-zero. Okay. So I can write an equation combining these vectors which gives me 0. If I can write like this, then I say that the set containing any set containing these three vectors will be linearly dependent. Like this S will be linearly dependent. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So okay. So now look here, dependent. In real life, you can say some person is dependent to some other person. Something is dependent to some other thing. Right? Here also, dependence is actually like this also. Like you can say v3 is dependent on v1 and v2. Like you can say v3 is basically v1 plus v2. Right? So v3 is dependent on this. So they are linearly dependent. If all were 0, suppose all the scalars were 0, then you cannot write this, right? Because suppose you give me some equation 0 plus 0 v1, 0 v2 plus 0 v3 equals to 0. Then you cannot say that v3 equals to some v1 plus 0 v1 plus 0 v2 or something like that. You cannot write in terms of v1 or v2. If you, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if all the scalars, at least one scalar is non-zero, then you can write that scalar in terms of the other vectors. So the whole collection of vectors is called linearly dependent. Is it clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what is linearly independent? Okay, first let me give you some example here. I have given one example here, right? This one. Let me give you another example containing matrices. Suppose I am considering the vector space of 2 cross 2 matrices over real number. So if I give you, the vectors will be matrix, right? So if I give you one vector as 1, 0, 0, 0, v3 is not comma. 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Another vector is 0, 1, 0, 0. And let me give you third vector as 0, 0, 1, 0. And let me give you another vector v4, which is basically 1, minus 1, 2, 2, 0. And if I say that S is a subset of this vector space M2 cross 2 R such that S contains both these V1 to V4 and some other matrices, is S linearly independent or dependent?
So dependent.
Why?
So V4 can be written as a linear combination of V1, V2, and V3.
Right.
If we choose.
Yes. So you can write like that, like V1 minus V2 plus 2V3 minus V4 equals to 0. Yes. Plus 2V3 minus V4 equals to 0. You can write it like that, right? And here not
Yes.
all scalars are 0. So that's why they're linearly dependent. Okay. Here is an interesting example. Suppose the vector space is given by Rn, all n tuples of real numbers. Okay. Suppose a vector xk is given like that. First, all k terms up to k terms are non-zero, I guess. Wait. Coordinates are 0. First, k minus 1 coordinates are 0. And okay. So first k minus 1 coordinates are 0. So xk is basically up to k minus 1 coordinates up to this elements, the elements of these tuples are 0, and from that it is 1. Okay. If I take this collection x1 to suppose xn, would it be linearly dependent or independent? So what will x1 be?
So it will be independent.
Why?
So because we cannot write any other vector as a linear combination of that, because up till k minus 1 will be 0. And
Right. Can you, yeah, the intuition is correct, but can you do it mathematically? Like it's a simple calculation. Just say the first vector. What will the first vector be? Let me ask you.
first,
The x1, what will x1 be?
X1 will be 1. It will be all ones.
All ones, right? What will x2 be? 0 comma all ones.
Yes.
So xn would be all zeros, right? So
Yes.
if they're suppose they are linearly dependent, so then we will find some a1 x1 plus a2 x2 plus an xn equals to 0, but not all ai are 0, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now look what this vector will be. Look, a1
All X1, like up till n.
okay, so first coordinate will be sum of
A1.
all n up to n. Second coordinate will be sum from a2 to n, and the last coordinate will be just the penultimate coordinate will be n minus 1. The last coordinate will be 0, right?
Yes, sir.
So it should be a 0 vector. Then what will you get? N minus 1 equals to 0. It is for sure. And if you put n minus 1 equals to 0 in the previous equation, then you will get an equation, and that equation will be 0. That you put in the previous equation, that will be 0. Then you will get another value, and in the like a chain reaction, you will get all zeros from a1 to an up to a1 to n. All will be 0, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so basically all will be 0. So they cannot be linearly dependent because all scalars are going to be 0 only. So they are linearly independent, right? Okay. Now here is the thing. Suppose I have given you a set which is linearly independent. Its subset, what will it be? Suppose S is linearly dependent, what its subset will be?
So maybe dependent or independent.
No, it can be proved that if I give you a linearly independent set, then its subset must be a linearly independent set.
Oh, linear dependent or independent? You said linear dependent.
No, it can. I said linearly independent. If I give you a linearly
Okay,
independent set, then its subset would
Okay,
be
no,
linearly independent.
then it will be always be independent.
Yes,
Independent.
but if I give you a linear dependent set, then its superset will be linear dependent always.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here's some exercises. You can do it. Now, okay. Can you tell me when is this semester? When it will end? When is the exam? I guess it is
March and April, sir, probably. The first week of April, sir.
first week of April. So I have to finish this by March, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, there is one more doubt, sir. There are two other portions of calculus and differential calculus, differential equation, I guess. Differential calculus and differential equation.
Okay.
Sir, who will take those parts?
I don't know for sure. Okay, I will ask. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm coming to a section called basis and dimension. I told you briefly about dimension yesterday, right? The unit in R3, the dimension is 3 because the three vectors 1 0 0 0 1 0 and 0 0 1 generates the whole space, right? So
Yes, sir.
now the formal definition of dimension will come, but before that I am just telling you about the basis, because for dimension you need the basis or basis, you can say. So what is the definition of basis? Basis, suppose you have a vector space V and beta B, a subset of V, which is linearly independent. First, it has to be linearly independent, and it has to generate the whole set, whole vector space V. Right? Like if you recall the previous example in R3, it was I told you a basis was 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, and 1, 0, 0. You can check it. It is linearly independent, right? In R3, you can say I vector, J vector, and K vector. Those unit vectors. Those 3 unit vectors are linearly independent.
Yes, sir.
And also they span the whole R3.
Yes, sir.
So the collection of these 3 vectors is a basis for R3. Okay, so basis, there can be infinitely, not infinitely many, there can be many bases. A basis is not unique for a vector space. There can be many bases. So for this we can say that we just say bases because it's a plural form of basis. Basis is not unique for a vector space. I'm coming to that. There is a theoretical proof for that also. So for example, you can see that if you give me a null vector space phi, basically, so span of phi is 0. So phi is linearly independent. So also basis for phi is 0, only the 0 vector. So basically, here is also the example I told you yesterday. I gave it for R3, and they are just giving it for Rn. Can you see it? Example 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, can you tell me a basis for any, suppose basis, right? Wait. Suppose I'm just giving you a vector space of 2 cross 2 matrices over R, real number. Can you give me a basis?
Yes, sir.
Tell
Shall
me.
we, sir? It have four vectors.
Okay. First vector.
First vector will be 0, 1, 0, 0, 0.
This one.
And then replace the one in other zeros on the other vectors.
Like this, only one part
Yes.
will be 1. Okay, this is a vector of this is a basis of this vector space. There are also other bases. I will come to that. Okay, now now suppose I give you another vector space. Suppose all polynomials of degree less than 2. Can you say what are the what is the basis of this vector space?
So 1 and Z.
1 and x. Degree less than or equals to 2.
Then it will be x square.
Yes. Right. Okay. And can you prove that these 3 are linearly independent?
Yes, sir. We can write it. We can write a into 1 plus b into x plus c into x square equals to 0, and since it will be 0
A
for
into 1 plus b into x plus c into x square equals to 0. Okay. Then
it cannot. This equation cannot have more than 2 roots because it's a quadratic equation. So and since it is 0 for all x's, which is shown, so it means only solution e equals to 0, b equals to 0, and c equals to 0. So this is a linearly independent vectors.
come again. Tell me once more.
So I said it is a quadratic equation in x. So and quadratic x cannot have more than
2 roots. Then,
but it is 0 for all x's. So it means a, b, and c must be 0.
It is 0 for all x's.
Yes. we are writing this equation as 0 for all x's. Like x is any quantity here. We cannot. We are not. Means,
So here 0 is a vector, not a scalar. Okay.
yes.
So you are not going for the solution of x.
Okay. So 1 minute. Sir, we can also say that right hand side does not have x vector or x square vector or one vector. So the
Why I can write it as 0x plus 0x square plus 0.
Yes, sir. So then it would mean a equals to 0, b equals to 0, and c equals to 0. If we write it like that, then it should mean that a, b, and c are zeros.
Yeah. So basically, the thing is, you can write any vector like this form, right? Column vector form, right? I told you yesterday in the first class. So what the column vector of this will be? It will be suppose this is for the constant term, this is for the x term, and this is for the x squared term. So for constant term it is 1, and into a this will be a. This will be 0 and this will be 0. So this vector can be written as this also, right? Just the a into 1 vector, right?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, this can be written as 0 into b into 0, not into 0 b 0, right?
Yes, sir.
Third vector, how can you write it?
0, 0, c.
0 0
0 0 c.
Yes, and this vector is basically 0 0 0. So basically you compare them both. It is ABC. You compare both sides. A equals to 0, B equals to 0, C equals to 0. Your intuition was right, and you did it right actually. But you have to formally write it like this in vector spaces. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, okay. So there is a theorem. The theorem states that if suppose a vector space V is given and a basis of that vector space beta is given, where beta is basically from beta has elements x1 to xn, then for any vector y in V, you can uniquely write that y in terms of the basis elements x1 to xn. And how is it unique? The scalars will be unique for this, because basis is not unique. Basis, if you change the basis, the scalars will change, but if you fix the basis, the scalars will be unique. Right?
Yes, sir.
Everyone clear? This theorem is pretty important actually.
Yes, sir.
Now there's this is the proof of the theorem. If you are interested, you can check it. So basically basis is basically the basis can span any vector in the vector space can be spanned by the basis, because the basis spans the whole vector space, right? So there is no issue with writing any vectors as this, as in terms of the elements of the basis. But the problem is you have to check for the uniqueness of the scalars. That is done here. They have proven that the scalars will be unique for a fixed basis. So if you're interested, you can see it. Now there is another theorem. This is also important. Every theorem in this chapter is pretty important, concept wise and for problem solving also. So here, suppose S is a linear independent subset of a vector space V. So V is given and S is a subset of B which is linearly independent, and X be another element which is not in the span, which basically not in S. X is another element which is not in S. Then you can say that S was already linearly independent. Now you are taking X also with it. You can say that S union X is linearly independent if and only if. Do you know what if and only if means? It is true from both sides.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is linearly dependent, sorry, not independent. S union X is linearly dependent. It will be linearly dependent if and only X is in the span of S. So here in the first page, here, look, this vector V3, this vector was in the span of V1 and V2, right? So that's why these three become linearly dependent. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Hello? So you can use this as a tool also for checking linear dependency. You don't have to do this every time that you take A1 up to AN and then add it and take it 0 and check for if all A1 AI is a 0 or not. It also can be used as a tool to check dependency, this theorem, right? Suppose suppose you know that it is very trivial that these three vectors will always be 0 comma 1 comma 0 0 comma 0 comma 1. These three vectors are linearly independent, you know it, right? But if any questions comes where they give you these three vectors and they give you another 2 or 3 vectors, you can simply just say that taking any vector from this part, that this can be written as this. So this vector belongs to the span of these three vectors. So this set is already these three vectors, including the vector you take here, is linearly dependent. So, and the whole set is a superset of the linear dependent set. So whole set is linearly dependent. So you can use it as a tool also. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now another theorem is there, like vector space is generated by a finite set S0. So S0, look, another thing I need to tell you that, look here, if I add another vector with these three vectors, say 0 comma 2 comma 3, what the these four vectors, what will they span?
R3.
R3 only, right? So these three vectors also spanning R3 and these four vectors are also spanning R3. So if some vectors are spanning a space, doesn't mean that it has to be a basis. They have to be linearly independent also, right? So here they're saying that suppose a finite set S0 is spanning the whole set, whole vector space V. Then a subset of S0 is a basis. You can say that S0 is spanning the whole set. Then S0 can be linearly independent, or S0 is not linearly independent, but a subset of S0 will always span the vector space V. It can be S0 also if S0 is linearly independent, right?
Yes, sir.
And hence, if a finite set S0 spans the whole vector space, then we say that V also has a finite basis, because the basis will be a subset of S0. So it will be finite only, right?
আরেকবার বলবেন?
Yes. Suppose you have a vector space V and a finite set S0 is generating the vector space. Suppose you have a vector space, suppose you have a vector space, space V, and S0 be a finite set generating the whole vector space. So span of S0 basically is the whole vector space. Clear? Okay. Now, is S0 basis? It is spanning the whole set, whole space. But is S0 a basis? It can be or it cannot be also. Because if S0 is not linearly independent, it cannot be a basis. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you can say that the theorem assures you that if I take, there will be a subset of S0, say S, subset of S0, which will span the whole vector space and it will be a basis also. So S0 should contain another subspace, subset S, which will also span the whole vector space. Span of S is also V, and S is a subset of S0. S not proper subset. Okay, it can be a S0 if S0 is linearly independent, that S will be S0 only because it will become basis then. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear.
Okay. And another thing, they have tell me, was anybody asking anything? Okay. They have assumed that S0 is a finite set which spans the vector space V, and S is also a subset of S0. So S must be finite also, right?
Yes, sir.
Subset of a finite set is finite only. So if a finite set spans the whole vector space, then the basis must be finite also, and it is a subset of that whole S0 set, right? So
Yes, sir.
that is, they have proved in this theorem only. You just if you are interested, you can see the theorem. And okay,
What is the mathematical meaning of span?
span I told you in the previous class. Span is basically the set of vector space of subspace of all linear combinations. Spanning means span of a set S is basically all possible linear combination of all elements in S. This is span of S. In the previous class, I had shown that it is a subspace also of the whole of the vector space V. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, look here. These three vectors will also generate the R3 vector. Even these five vectors actually generates the R3 vector. These three and these two. But among these five vector, they are not linearly independent. They are linearly dependent. But you can always find two vectors among two vectors. If you discard those two vectors from here, you will get a linearly independent set which will generate R3, and that will be the basis. You can check it later. They have already did it here. These three vectors will be this. It will be a basis for R3 among these five vectors. Okay, you can check it, I guess, in later. Okay, so here is another important theorem, replacement theorem. This is one of the most important theorems in this subject. listen carefully. So V is a vector space and beta is a basis of that vector space which has n number of elements. Suppose S is a subset of V which is linearly independent and S has m elements y1 to ym and m is less than or equals to n. Is it clear up to now, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So basically, the basis has n elements and you have a linearly independent subset which has less than or equals to n elements. Okay. So that set is S basically. So they are saying that you can always find a subset of bases which is denoted here by S1 with exactly n minus m number of elements, such that S union S1 will always generate the whole vector space. Shall I repeat or listen?
Sir, repeat please.
Tell me.
Repeat please, sir.
Okay. V is a vector space. Okay. So here they're saying that V is a vector space here, and beta is a basis of V. Beta is a basis of V. Okay. And suppose there is another set S which is subset of V. Okay, another thing is beta is a basis of V and beta contains exactly n elements. Beta has n elements. Now there is another set S which is a subset of B, and what we know about S is linearly independent and S has m number of elements, say y1 to ym, such that m is lesser or equals to n. N is number of elements in beta. Clear up to now?
Yes, sir.
So they are assuring that you can always find n minus m number of elements from beta, and say this the collection of this set is denoted by S1, say. Then you can say that S union S1 span of this will be the whole space. Clear now?
Yes, sir.
Clear.
Okay. I'm not proofing this, but I will encourage you to read the proof first. The proof is basic induction. You read the proof first, and if you don't understand, then I will tell you in the next class. And
Okay, sir.
you can consult between each other in your batches and understand the proof, because this is actually a basic thing in linear algebra, and this will whenever you try to do anything of linear algebra, basis will come first, and basis is depending on this replacement theorem. So try to understand this proof. Just understand. You don't have to remember, you don't have to do anything, just understand this proof. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now, depending on this proof, there are some corollaries. So another thing, there are examples here also. So Shall I give you example? Wait. So suppose the vector space is basically the R3, say V is R3, and beta one basis is given, which is say uh, 1 0 0. Okay, these vectors we denoted by E. Okay, E1, E2 is basically 0 1 0, and E3 is basically 0 comma 0 comma 1. Okay, this is a basis. So basis has how many elements here?
3.
3 elements. Now suppose there is there is a set S which is a subset of B, and which is given as suppose 1 comma 1 comma 0 and 0 comma 1 comma 1. Okay, now the theorem just assures that you will find here the number of elements is 2, right? So theorem just assures you that there you will find one element from this B such that S union that element, say X, will generate the whole V, right?
Yes, sir.
So can you give me a element from here that will including with S it will generate V?
E1.
E1, right? So you are saying that if I write this 1 0 0, I will get the whole V. So for that check, if I say y is a vector in V, which is basically a1 comma a2 comma a3, then I can write y as suppose x1 into this vector 1 comma 1 comma 0 plus x2 into the second vector 0 comma 1 comma 1 plus x3 into the third vector we have chosen 1 comma 0 comma 0. So this will give you basically
One plus X.
x1 plus x3, x1 plus x2,
2 plus 0.
x2 plus x2 only, right? So this is basically a1 comma a1 comma a2 comma a3, right? So here look, x2 is already a3, then x1 is a2 minus a3, then x3 is a1 minus x1, that is a2 plus a3, right? So I can always say that for any vector y I can give you three scalars x1 x2 and x3 such that these three vectors along with these three scalars x2 x1 and x3, it will span the whole R3, right?
Yes, sir.
Now okay, so from the this replacement theorem there are some corollaries. So first corollary is here. Suppose V is a vector space and beta is a basis of that vector space with exactly n elements, n number of elements. Then they are assuring you that any linearly independent subset of V containing exactly n elements is a basis for V. How? Look. So they have given you a vector space V and a basis beta which has n number of elements with n elements, right? Suppose I say that I am taking this, they were taking a set S, right? I am taking this set as phi. Then what will happen? If I take all the elements from beta, so basically S union beta will generate the set V, right? Clear? Hello?
Can you repeat
Yeah.
the theorem once? Corollary
Corollary
once.
one. Okay. They are saying that V is a vector space with a basis beta with exactly n number of elements. Then any linearly independent subset of V containing exactly n elements is a basis for V. So for that, so basically, if beta is a basis with n elements, then any linearly independent subset with n elements is a basis. They're just saying that if beta is a basis with n elements, then
Yes, sir. Got it.
any linearly independent subset with n elements is a basis. You don't have to check if it spans the whole set or not, whole space or not. If you check the set is linearly independent, it has n elements, then it's a basis. It generates the whole space. Right? So for that, they have they have taken this set S be a linearly independent. Suppose beta is a basis and S has n elements here up to y1 to yn, and which is linearly independent. I have to prove that S spans the whole set, whole space. So if I don't take any elements from beta, okay, what does the replacement theorem says? Replacement theorem says that if I have a linearly independent set S with m elements, then I can get from and subset of beta S1 with n minus m elements. S union S1 will be spanning the whole set, right?
Yes, sir.
So there is already a set y1 up to yn, which is linearly independent and and the beta is a set of n elements. Then what this corollary assures you that S will be a basis also, right? Because it's linearly independent and has exactly n elements, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear for everyone? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what they're doing here, look, here basically the linearly independent set has n elements only. So if you take n minus n equals to 0, then you don't have to take any elements from the basis. They are already spanning the S is already spanning the whole V, right? By replacement theorem.
Yes,
And
sir.
also they are linearly independent by definition, right? By the assumption of the theorem, their corollary, they are already linearly independent, right? So
Yes,
S
sir.
is linearly independent and spanning the whole V. So S is the basis, obvious by definition, right?
Yes, sir.
So if basis has n elements, then any linearly independent set with n elements is a basis. Clear? Clear, right?
Yes, sir. So it means length of any independent list of vectors in that vector space will be always less than the length of the basis.
What? Can you repeat it again?
So it means like if I have a vector space and it has a basis vector in it, then if I have if I have a set of linearly independent length
Vectors.
of that list will be
Then-
always less than the length of the spanning list.
Basis is already linearly independent. So it can.
Oh, sorry, sir. Basis.
Yes. No. Basically, linearly independent, but doesn't span. Then it will be less than n. If it spans the whole set, then it itself a basis, right?
Yes, sir.
So if it is not basis, then it and linearly independent, then it will always be less than n. Yes. Now there is another corollary, 2 and 3. Okay, corollary 2. Corollary 2 is saying that if V is a vector space having a basis B of exactly n elements, then any subset of V containing more than n elements is linearly dependent. Why?
Sir, because beta is the basis, so it spans the whole space.
Yes.
And if any other
Vector is there?
and if any
Yes.
there, then it will belong to the span of that beta.
Yes. So that will be linearly dependent. Another thing, any linearly independent subset of B contains at most n elements. Right? If basis is of n elements, then any linearly independent subset of B contains at most n elements. If it's a basis, then it will contain n elements. If it is not a basis, then it will contain less than n elements. The thing you
Yes, sir.
already, yes. And again, the proof is here. The thing you told, it is already there. And another thing is, another corollary is there. If V is a vector space of having a basis of exactly n elements, because if you give me look for it, if it has to be a basis, then it has to be linearly independent, and linearly independent set cannot have more than n elements. So if I say a basis has less than n elements, then it would not be a basis because it would not span the whole space, right? So it must, if it is a basis, it must contains n elements, right? So, okay. The proofs are already
Yes, sir.
there in the book, so I'm not going through the proofs. If you're interested, you can check the proofs, the theoretical proofs. Okay. Okay. So another thing is, okay, dimension. What is the definition of dimension? Finite dimensional vector space. Which vector space we call finite dimensional? If it has a basis of finite number of elements. And dimension of V is basically a finite dimension for a finite dimensional vector. The dimension of V is basically the number of elements in V, in the basis of V. Clear? The dimension thing will come in every aspect of linear algebra. Whenever you will read linear algebra, whenever there you use linear algebra, this dimension, it will must come somewhere. So if it is a finite dimensional thing, so the definition of dimension is here only. There are some examples. If a vector space it contains only the zero vector, it has dimension 0 always. If a vector space Fn, F is the field here, you can say Rn. Rn has dimension n. So suppose there is a matrix, there is a vector space of all m
N.
cross n matrix. Then what is the dimension of that vector space? Mn, right? And suppose another thing,
And
I give you a vector space of all complex number, and the field is also complex numbers. One, because what will be the basis? Give me a basis.
so 1 and I is
No, basis will contain only one element, right? Dimension is 1, so basis will contain 1 plus I. You can say, you can only also say 1 only, because 1 is also a complex number, right?
complex number. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and now if I say I give you a vector space of all complex number, but the field now is real numbers, then
2.
Yes, because otherwise you cannot generate the I imaginary terms, right? You have to generate the imaginary terms. So one is one,
0 and 1 only.
not 0 and 1 and 1, I. 1 and I
And I.
can be a basis, right? I'm just getting response of some few people. Is everyone here attending the class?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now there is another corollary, which is saying that if V is a vector space and dimension n, what does dimension n means?
The length of the basis.
The size of the basis, right?
Yes, sir. Length of basis.
Not length. It's a size. Length is a different thing. Size of the basis or number of elements in the basis. Yeah. For safety, you can write number of elements in the basis, because if you say size, then you also have to define size. What is size? What do you mean by size? So for safety purpose, just in exams, write the number of elements in the basis. Okay. And let S be a subset of V that generates V. Vector space with dimension n, and S is a subset of V that generates V and contains at most n elements. So S doesn't contains more than n elements. Then S is a basis of V. Okay, and hence contains exactly n elements. Is it clear?
No, sir.
Suppose,
Definition of
okay, suppose V is a vector space with dimension n, and S is a subset of V that generates V. So span of S is basically V. And S also contains at most one n elements. Suppose first you don't know about the length, about number of elements of n, but you know the bound that S cannot have more than n elements. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then if S generates the whole space V, then you can exactly say that n has n elements. S cannot have less than n elements. S will exactly have n elements. And S is a basis. You can assure that. If it generates the whole space, and suppose I say that I don't know the exact size of S, but S has at most n elements. Okay, now the corollary 4. So yes, S must have n elements, and S is a basis also. Clear?
Yes. Clear.
Okay. The examples are there. You can check the examples, and this one is the final thing in our today's lesson. Suppose beta is a basis of a finite dimensional vector space. What does you mean by finite dimensional vector space?
there exists a basis.
Which has
finite.
finite number of elements. Yes. So there exists a basis which has finite number of elements for V. Then also let S is a linearly independent subset of V. So S is also a subset of V which is linearly independent. Then there exists a subset S1 of beta such that S union S1, in the replacement theorem, look here clearly, look here that S union S1 in the replacement theorem, we told that S union S1 generates the space, but we didn't talk about if it is a basis or not there.
Yes, sir.
But here I can assure you by corollary 5 that S union S1 will be a basis. Not only it will generate the space, but it will be a basis also. Right?
Yes, sir.
Thus, what we conclude here, thus every linearly independent subset of B can be extended to a basis. So S is a linearly independent subset of B. So S can be extended to a basis by collecting some elements from this beta basis and doing union it with the set S, and we will get a basis. So linearly independent set S, we're extending it to a basis, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is for today's class. Now ask anything if you want. If you did not understand something, just ask.
Sir, if in a linearly independent list of vectors, we also have a zero vector, then it will not be linearly independent, right? Like
Zero vector is not zero vector. Singleton zero is linearly dependent always. So
no, sir. I'm saying, suppose we have V. Hello, sir.
I'm listening. Tell me.
So if we have say n in linearly independent vectors in a set,
Yes.
and
Yes.
if we add one zero vector there, so there will be n plus one vectors in there. So
Yes.
So can we say that they are linearly independent?
No, they are not linearly independent because singleton zero vector is linearly dependent, right? Because you can always get a non-zero element, say 3.
Yes, sir.
3 into 0 equals to always be 0. So 0 is not linearly independent. 0 is linearly dependent. And any superset of linearly dependent vector is linearly dependent again. So that vector, that set you created is a superset of singleton 0. So it will be linearly dependent.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Right. Any other questions? Okay, so I'm ending today's lesson here. CRs, you can share the attendance for today's.
Okay, sir.
Okay, okay. Next day I will uh, teach you something called linear transformations. Linear transformations are basically a function from a vector space to a vector space. The speciality of these functions are if they are one-to-one, they are bijective. You don't have to prove the onto. If they are onto, they are also bijective. You don't have to prove the one-to-one thing also. And another thing is very interesting thing is these functions are basically matrices. If you give me any this linear transformation kind of function, the functions are called linear transformation. If you give me any linear transformation, this is nothing but a matrix. And if you give me a matrix, this is nothing but a linear transformation function. So I will teach you this for next Friday. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And
Thank you, sir.
please send the attendance sheets. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can you please let us know, sir, who will take us the other classes?
I will ask. But I guess someone should be assigned to take this class, right? Do you know who is assigned to you guys?
No, sir, we are not. Sir, we are not even having another schedule for maths also. You know.
Yeah.
So
Which
one math
professor is
class,
assigned? Which professor is assigned for those classes? You don't
sir,
know
one
that
math
also.
class is assigned to you, and other one is sir SG sir.
Okay. Okay.
SG
Okay.
sir is taking abstract algebra, and you are
Okay.
taking the linear one, but there is no one for calculus and differential equation.
And those are in your this semester, right?
Yes,
Those
sir.
subjects are. Can you do one thing? When is the next class of SG, sir?
Sir, next Wednesday.
Wednesday, right? So do one thing. I have to if I know also, I will, if I know by then I will tell you, but if I don't, just ask SG sir, okay? SG sir will know, or he will just manage and he will let you know that who is taking those classes.
Okay, sir.
Okay?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Bye.
Yes, good night, sir.
Good night, sir.